All right, kicking off another deep dive. And today we're going to tackle something that's been all over the news. The potential TikTok ban in the US.
Oh yeah, I've been seeing that everywhere.
Yeah, you've probably seen the headlines. Maybe you're even like a little worried if you're, one of the millions and millions of people using TikTok. We've got a whole bunch of reports and analysis and even some legal documents, and we are going to break it all down.
It's a big one. Definitely a lot to unpack.
For sure. And, whether you use TikTok or just hear about it everywhere, we want to give you, the listener, like a clear picture of what's going on because there's actually some really interesting stuff beneath the surface. It's not just the usual headlines.
Absolutely. It goes way deeper than that.
So to start off, think about this. 150 million TikTok users in the US alone.
It's mind-boggling, really.
Right. That's like almost half the country scrolling through those videos every day. It's crazy. And it's not just, dance trends and funny cat videos or
That's
whatever.
sure not.
Small businesses are using TikTok to market themselves. Influencers are building whole careers on it. Brands are spending tons of money on ads. This is serious stuff.
It's woven itself into the fabric of, like, American culture and the economy.
Exactly. This isn't just some silly app. There are some real stakes here.
Absolutely. The stakes are huge.
Which brings us to the kind of the big question. Why is there even talk of a ban? What's all the fuss about?
Well, the heart of it is this concern about TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, being based in China.
Yeah, I've heard that's a big part of it.
There's this fear, right, that the Chinese government could get their hands on user data, personal info, browsing history, even location data.
Oh, wow.
And they could use it for, well, let's just say things that make people nervous.
Yeah, that's definitely a bit unsettling.
For sure. And it gets even more complex than just that.
Okay, so data security, that's a biggie, but I've heard there are other concerns too, right?
Absolutely. There's a lot of talk about the TikTok algorithm.
Yeah, that thing that like decides what videos you see.
Exactly. That super powerful engine that keeps you scrolling and scrolling.
For hours, it feels like sometimes.
And the worry is it could be used for some, let's say, less than wholesome purposes.
So like, what are we talking about here?
Imagine, right, being able to subtly change what people see, nudge them towards certain ideas,
Oh, wow.
maybe even influence how they vote.
Yeah.
It's a powerful tool.
It's kind of scary when you put it like that.
It's a big deal, for sure. And then on top of all that, you can't forget about the whole U.S.-China thing going on in the background.
Right, the tension between the two countries.
Exactly. This battle for, technological dominance, economic power. TikTok gets caught in the middle of all that, like a pawn in this bigger game.
So it's not just about the app itself, it's about the bigger picture.
Exactly. It's way more complicated than it seems on the surface.
So we've got this like perfect storm of data security worries, potential manipulation, and international power struggles. It's intense.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's like a powder keg. But it's not like this whole ban thing just came out of nowhere, right?
No, this has been simmering for a while.
Okay, so give us like a little history lesson then.
Remember back in 2020 when President Trump tried to make ByteDance sell TikTok to an American company?
Oh, yeah. Wasn't there even an executive order to ban the app entirely?
You got it. But then the courts got involved and blocked it.
Wow. It's been a back and forth.
It has. And then President Biden came in, and he's been a little more, measured in his approach. But he hasn't let TikTok off the hook either.
What do you mean?
Well, banning TikTok from all government devices was a pretty clear message.
I see what you mean.
He's still taking it seriously.
So where does that leave us now?
Well, we've got this new piece of legislation moving through Congress, the Restrict Act, and it could give the government a lot more power to regulate foreign apps.
Oh, wow. So that's something to keep an eye on then.
Definitely, it hasn't passed yet, but it shows you how seriously some lawmakers are taking this whole thing.
Yeah, it seems like they're not messing around.
And even without the federal government taking action, you've got states banning TikTok on government devices.
Oh, really?
Yep, a whole bunch of them. So the pressure is coming from everywhere.
So TikTok is really in the hot seat, huh? But I imagine they're not just sitting there, waiting for the hammer to drop.
Oh, not at all. They're fighting back, trying to prove to the U.S. government that they can be trusted.
So how are they doing that?
Well, their big play is this thing called Project Texas. And it's a pretty ambitious undertaking. Very expensive, too.
How expensive are we talking?
$1.5 billion.
Wow.
That's right. They're putting their money where their mouth is.
So what is Project Texas?
It's all about tackling those data security worries head on.
How so?
The idea is they're going to create this separate system for U.S. user data, and it'll be managed by Oracle, which is an American company.
I've heard of them. They have a good reputation, right?
Yeah, they're known for being very secure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like TikTok is building a digital vault
Yeah.
just for American users.
Okay, that makes sense. So they're basically saying, hey, we hear you, and we're willing to go to great lengths to show we can protect American data.
Exactly. And it's not just Project Texas. They're also promising more transparency.
In what way?
They've said they're going to let third-party experts audit their systems, including that super secret algorithm of theirs.
That's huge. I mean, that algorithm is like the secret sauce of TikTok, right? It's what keeps people hooked.
It's true, it's a big part of their success, but it also fuels those manipulation worries. So by letting people peek behind the curtain, they're trying to ease those concerns.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, see, nothing to hide here.
Exactly. And then you can't underestimate the power of the users themselves.
What do you mean?
TikTok has been really good at getting its users, especially the younger generation, to speak out against the ban.
Oh, right. They're really active online.
Exactly. You've got millions of users, many of them first-time voters, making their voices heard.
Yeah, it's not just them complaining online. They're actually getting involved in the political process.
And politicians are paying attention. Believe me, it's become a real movement.
So it's more than just an app to these users. It's like a part of their lives.
Absolutely. It's a way of life for many, and they're not going to give it up easily.
So where do we go from here? What's next in this whole TikTok saga?
Well, it could go a bunch of different ways, right? From like a full-on ban to maybe just some stricter rules. But no matter what happens, it's not going to be easy. There's a lot to figure out.
Yeah, I bet it's not like they can just snap their fingers and make TikTok disappear.
Exactly. It's way more complicated than that. There's a whole legal side to it, too.
Right. Like, wouldn't banning an app, especially one as big as TikTok, cause some problems with, the Constitution and stuff?
Oh, yeah, for sure. The First Amendment guarantees freedom of speech, and some experts say that includes, like, online platforms like TikTok.
So banning it would be like saying people can't express themselves online?
That's the argument. And it gets tricky because you have to weigh that against national security concerns.
Right. It's like freedom versus safety.
It's a tough balance for sure. And even if they did manage to ban TikTok, you really think people would just stop using it?
Probably not. People always find a way, right?
Exactly. Think about VPNs, those things that let you get around website blocks. People are going to use those to get their TikTok fix.
So it's like a game of whack-a-mole.
Exactly. You block it one way, it pops up somewhere else. Plus, you got to think about the economic side of things, too.
Right. All the people who make money from TikTok.
Exactly. Creators, businesses, the whole ecosystem. Banning TikTok would hurt a lot of people with real jobs.
So it's not just about, like, the app itself. It's about the whole economy around it.
It is, and it's about setting a precedent, too. If they ban TikTok, what's to stop them from banning other foreign apps in the future?
That's a good point. It could create this, like, atmosphere of fear for tech companies.
It could stifle innovation, make companies hesitant to try new things.
Because they're worried they might get too big and then, bam, banned.
Exactly. It's a slippery slope. But let's step back for a second and talk about the people, the actual users of TikTok.
Yeah. At the end of the day, they're the ones who'll be most affected by this.
They are. And a lot of them really love TikTok. It's like a creative outlet, a community for them.
It's become a part of their lives.
It has, especially for younger generations.
Yeah.
And they're not happy about this ban. They're fighting back.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that online, people making videos about saving TikTok.
It's impressive. They're organizing, contacting politicians, making their voices heard.
And it's not just them. It's parents, educators, celebrities. Everyone's getting involved.
It's become a cultural phenomenon.
Exactly. And it's brought up this whole conversation about, like, what role should technology play in our lives?
And how much power should the government have over what we can and can't access online?
It's a big debate, and it's definitely not just black and white.
No. Public opinion is divided. Some people want a ban, some want regulation. It's all over the place.
It reflects the bigger conversation we're having as a society about the internet, right?
Exactly. How do we balance security and freedom? How do we encourage innovation while protecting ourselves? It's not easy.
Definitely not. But hopefully this deep dive is helping you, the listener, understand all the different sides of this issue.
Because it's not just about TikTok. It's about the future of the internet itself and how we navigate this increasingly complex digital world.
So as we move into the final part of our deep dive, let's zoom out even further and consider the implications of all this on a global scale. So we've talked about the security stuff, the politics behind it all, the economic impact, and those passionate TikTok users who are really fighting back. And as we kind of step back and look at the bigger picture, one thing really jumps out, this whole TikTok thing, it's just one little battle in a much bigger war.
Yeah, it really is. It's a war for like who controls the internet, who influences people's minds, and ultimately how we communicate and get information in the future. It's fascinating to see how this app that's basically just short videos has become this huge symbol of all the things we're worried about in the digital age.
It's true. Like TikTok has kind of revealed these cracks in our digital foundation.
Yeah.
Even if they manage to avoid being completely banned, this whole thing has brought up some seriously tough questions.
Yeah, and questions without easy answers, it's tricky.
Like, what happens if the U.S. government says, okay, TikTok is a real national security threat because it's owned by a Chinese company? Does that mean they can go after any foreign app that gets popular in the U.S.?
That's a question a lot of people are asking, and it's a slippery slope, right? Today it's TikTok, but tomorrow, who knows? It could be a messaging app, a game, even a service that handles, like, your personal health records. Where do we draw the line?
That's the big question, right? And it seems like policymakers are really wrestling with that right now because if we start banning every single foreign app that makes us even a little bit nervous, we risk breaking up the internet.
Yeah, creating these digital walls.
Right.
And that goes against the whole idea of a connected world.
Exactly. Like imagine a world where every app you use, every service you rely on is suddenly viewed with suspicion just because of where the company is located. That's not a good place to be.
It breeds distrust. Could even lead to a kind of digital Cold War, where countries are constantly fighting over technology, and it could stifle innovation, make people afraid to try new things.
Either they're worried about getting too big and then being shut down. Yeah.
Exactly. And the thing is, it goes beyond social media. Think about things like essential services, our financial systems, healthcare data. If we start putting up digital barriers based on where a company is from, it affects every part of our lives.
It's like, in a way, those funny dances and viral trends on TikTok have accidentally revealed these deeper problems, these tensions that exist in our interconnected world.
It's kind of poetic when you think about it. TikTok has become this mirror, reflecting all our fears about data privacy, our reliance on technology, and how power is shifting in this digital age.
It's definitely a lot to think about, but hopefully this deep dive has helped you, our listener, to see all the different sides of this issue, all the complexity and potential consequences.
Because it's not just a story about TikTok. It's a story about the internet as a whole and how we, as a global society, figure out how to navigate this digital world we've created.
It's about finding that balance between staying safe and staying connected, and those decisions are being made right now. They're going to shape how we live, work, and connect with each other in the future.
And it's a story that's still being written, so stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, make your voice heard. Because what happens next matters to all of us.
That's a wrap on our deep dive this week. We hope you found it insightful, thought-provoking, maybe even a little bit unsettling.
Definitely a lot to unpack, but that's what deep dives are all about, right?
Exactly. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the world around you because there's always more to discover.